Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Gear Lightning 120X, featuring 1204 5000 kV motors, T-style 3-inch HQ props. It has the AC900 receiver that is Futaba as well as FR Sky compatible. Power switchable VTX from 25 milliwatts to 200 milliwatts. Runcam Nano 2 FPV camera. It does have an F4 flight controller with an OSD. It has programmable LEDs. Canopy is TPU, so is the antenna mount. Rubber band to secure your battery. Fabric tape to secure the motor wires to the arms. I added the zip tie to secure the battery lead. Comes with two Gear branded 3S 450 milliamp batteries. I also flew it on the GNB 3S 450 milliamp battery. Included in the kit are two extra canopies in different colors as well as VTX antenna mounting. Comes with an extra rubber band to secure your battery, 4 extra props, an Allen or hex tool, a screwdriver, as well as getting started guide and VTX introduction. It also comes with a case, but it barely fits inside with the props on. It weighs 63.5 grams. With the Gear 453S battery, it weighs 106.69 grams. With the GNB 453S battery, it weighs 104.6 grams. The bottom carbon fiber plate is 2 millimeters thick. Arms appear to be about 3 millimeters wide. The top carbon fiber plate is 1.5 millimeters thick. And the carbon is real flexible. The top carbon fiber plate runs from these screws up front to this screw in the back. Okay, so we've had a bunch of days where the weather has not been all that great, especially clouds. Cloudy, cloudy, cloudy. Every once in a great while, I'll notice the sun will peek out, and by the time I get rounded up and outside or I get home to fly, clouds again. But I hope you notice that this is on the stock battery that it comes with. The manufacturer is adamant about high voltage charging. So if you follow their procedures, you would charge their batteries to high volt. With my batteries, the ones I personally use, the GNB batteries, I do not charge them with high volt. I did see on average somewhere around 25 to 35 extra seconds of flight time when I did charge to high volt, but you should know that the history with high voltage charging in batteries is not good. So, follow your heart, follow what you want to do. My suggestion is to, take that extra 25 or 30 seconds and lop that off and leave your batteries charging at stock levels. But if you really just don't care and you want to go all out, you want to have the high voltage charging in the extra 25 to 35 seconds, take that risk. It may reduce your battery longevity. Just a little warning, we haven't talked about high voltage charging when it comes to multi-cell batteries much on the channel. It's actually probably been about a year, but so that's my spiel on that. Also, one other thing, I'd like you guys to sound off down in the comment section. You can leave more than one comment if you find that later on there's something else in the video you want to comment about. But carbon. Flexible carbon, for that matter. We've seen a few things that have come to the channel and have had really flexible carbon, and others that have been really stiff. We've seen some of the stiff ones break. We've seen some of the flexible ones not break, and around and around we go. So instead of trying to say which is best, say which you prefer. What are you looking for in carbon fiber? Now, if you don't care, you don't have an opinion, maybe you're just looking for something that flies well. And I think this one does fly pretty well. I actually had a pretty good time flying this one around. It comes with the tune. It's on Betaflight 411. They did not use the sliders. They used manual PID tuning on this. So depending upon what you're expecting from Betaflight and its tunes, that should give you a little bit of an idea what to expect from the tune. I thought it flew pretty well. There is a little bit of prop wash in hard 180 turns. I think I could have managed that a little bit more effectively with some throttle control. I didn't do a real great job. Yeah, maybe in the warmer months I might have done a bit better on that, but the fingers are what they are this time of year. We're going to get a real nice long flight time, and I should have mentioned in the quick roll that we're also limited on our camera angle. We might be able to go another 2 to 3 degrees on camera angle, but you're going to be running into the canopy at that point. The canopy is pretty flexible, so if you want more camera angle, you're probably looking at printing a different canopy of your own, or you're looking at maybe modifying the canopy that it comes with. Of course, the canopy is kind of a front half piece, I guess one way to describe it. I'm sure you could do something else. There's many of you that I've talked to that design prints and print your own stuff, so that's something you can look forward to. You can see we're hitting close to the 3-minute marker here, and we do get a lot of battery warnings, and we do get our flight below 3.5 volts per cell, but you'll find when I end the flight that the battery recovers above 3.5 volts, and that's my target. That's what I'm looking for. But of course, you need to gauge where you want your batteries to end at per your experience or what you desire for your battery maintenance. I routinely fly things down below 3.5, and then when I land, they recover above 3.5. I think if you follow the channel, you probably notice I talk about that a lot, because my experience with battery longevity is that if you do that, GNB batteries specifically will have a good, long, healthy life. If you run them way down, you may find that lifetime shortens a bit. But you see there we land, and we get 3 minutes and 43 seconds of flight time. Again, on standard voltage charge, I get about 3 minutes and 25 seconds. So let's start off with looking at that carbon weave. Some of you like to look at that, some of you don't care, but I always like to show it to you. You can make your own decision. And then again, I want to drive that home. This is very flexible. I crashed it, but I did not have any problems with it breaking. Obviously, I'm showing it to you now. But it could be some of the design. We have a real thin body section. Essentially, it's only as wide as the flight control stack. Matter of fact, at some of its smallest points, it's thinner in the tail and in the front than the flight control. So not very wide in our body, and we do have some cutouts out here front. And it's real flexible in the arms. You can see where I'm putting my thumbs are kind of in the body section. And it is very flexible. That could be limiting our tunability. I can't say that for certain. It could also depend upon your weight. Like if you put a big battery, you put a 3S650 on this, you may find that with that additional weight that you get some carbon fiber movement and therefore affects the flight characteristics. And again, sound off on what you want. Tell the manufacturers what you're looking for. If you're fine with any sort of carbon, if you just want carbon that makes it through all the review phases without being broken, and you're fine with whatever it is, so be it. If you want stiff, rigid carbon, tell them. Let them know. If you're looking for a particular pattern or weave on the layout, let them know. This is an opportunity for you. As is the case with every video that I make, this is an opportunity for you to sound off. You keep it clean, give us an honest opinion, it'll always stick around. Unfortunately, if you curse, I do delete those because I do like to keep things family friendly. You can also see here with the carbon, we have limited to no motor protection if that's something that you're looking for in your arms. There's really just maybe a millimeter out here on the very outside edge. You can kind of see it right down there. There's just not much there. Of course, we have this area which does flex down a little bit. I think it flies really well. I liked how it flies, and I thought it was a pretty good tune. I think it could, I would tweak it just a touch, maybe not a whole lot, but I flew it on the tune that you see. And I think that if you were to have some flight experience and you would fly this, you would be relatively happy with the tune. If you're really picky about your tune, probably not, but that is probably the case with every quad you pick up. You always want to tune it to make it your own. I don't think I called it out in the quick roll, but this is also some sort of print, the standoff here that goes to the VTX here. It's a little bit of a unique VTX, and you can see how short the wires are. The VTX right back here, and they run around to this side right here. Also notice the wires for the LEDs. These are not typical wires, at least not typical for what I'm used to seeing. They're very thin wires. That might be a particular wire type that some of you might be able to name down in the comment section. So if you're wondering about that, head down there, and there are plenty of experts that will let us know. I do like the LED lights. It's kind of a cool factor. Probably adds maybe a gram with the LED strip and the wiring, but I like that. I think it's pretty cool. I will note that if you have to work on this, you're probably best off in just leaving this assembly together and unscrewing here, because it's going to be easier to work with those sections than it is to be able to, if you can see that nut on the bottom, I envision taking those two screws and nuts out and putting them back together to be quite a stretch when it comes to your repairs versus taking things off in the bottom section that has easy access. I think that would be easier to be able to lift everything off if you needed to do a repair, whether to be a resolder of a wire flow, because that can sometimes happen depending upon your location with humidity and how much you're crashing. You might have to reflow something, a wire comes loose, or if you're just going to change out a component or a camera or what have you, that would be how I would probably go after it. I didn't mention in the quick roll, but also there's a buzzer right there, and it's a typical buzzer. It's good and loud, so that's a good thing. If you put your quad down, an unexpected landing, so to speak, you should have a good opportunity to put that buzzer on a switch and then go find it audibly. You can see they do pay attention to the screw lengths up here. These are cut off. They're not just left at their typical length and they put nuts on top. They screwed those on. So the build quality as far as how everything is put together and soldered looks pretty good. Let's get a good close-up here of the solder joints. You can judge for yourself on the soldering job that you see there. Can't really see inside too much. I don't have that great a light of you. Let's take a look at the other side. Also, I did put that zip tie on the rear there just to make sure my battery lead stayed down. I do think if I were to do that zip tie again, I would go around the arm and back this way, because I did just run my battery lead along this edge, and I'd like to have this around the arm to give it some extra protection if this were to get tugged on, that it goes in here. I do like the fact it's a little tiny thing. I do like the fact they put the heat shrink inside, but I would like to see the heat shrink individually done. So if your motor wires, or not motor wires, if your battery lead wires were to come loose inside there, they're not individually protected from a short. They would actually come together and short. That is, if they still have any contact with the battery, of course, as well. I loosened up the camera, moved it a little bit there so that you could see that it is an official Run Cam Nano 2 camera. And as you can see there, the camera angle, I might be able to get, maybe it's 2 more degrees out, but it's not going to be an extreme camera angle canopy. Of course, you can go way down. You can go clear down to flat probably, or level, or even negative, it looks like, because the screw is here and then the bottom of the canopy is there, so you could go way down on your camera angle. I don't think too many of us would go nearly that low, but it's there. Thought I would point it out. Oh, something else that you may have noticed that I didn't mention was the screws on the bottom. They use Phillips screws. I prefer to use hex screws all the way around, but you see we have other Phillips screws down here as well. We see all across the bottom. Even these aren't surface or flush. They're slightly, the carbon's not what that called when you drill into it so you can recess. Recess, that's the word I'm looking for. The carbon's not recessed so that these sits flat. So I did pull out a piece of battery mounting pad and I put it down here in the middle. It was just something I had laying on the side of the desk. So that may have thrown off the weight a touch as per what you would get, but I would suggest doing that because that will hold your battery in a lot better. But the rubber band is good and strong. Of course, eventually you will have to look to replace that. Rubber bands dry out over time. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 10, but eventually it will break. You do get an extra one in the kit, but it's also exposed. Maybe not exposed as the one on the quad, but over time, all rubber bands, even if they're sitting in a bag, will eventually dry out and snap. One last thing before we go is jello. With this flexible TPU mount, did you notice any jello in the flight footage? I know we didn't have great sunny days for our flight footage, but did you see any? Maybe you've seen other videos. Did you see it in any of the videos you've seen of this product? Please let me know. Please let the manufacturers know down in the comments section. Currently, I only see this listed on the MakerFire website, and to my surprise, I've recently seen a few people online reporting that MakerFire has actually been doing a good job with getting products shipped out right away. Good, reasonable support and service. Leave your comment down below about MakerFire as well. I've had some dealings with them over the years, but not a lot. I'm interested in knowing what you guys think of the experiences that you've had with MakerFire. I see it listed for a range of prices between $104 without a receiver up to like $130 with a TBS Crossfire receiver. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.